this amazing gift and quality about you that absolutely nothing gets you down. And I think that you're showing your kids and showing everybody who knows you just that, like, no matter what's thrown at you, you figure it out and you make it work, and you just keep going and you can be successful and do whatever you need to do, and you thrive. You absolutely thrive.
I like connecting with people and I like helping people.
You do. You always have. You always have. And you just have that special touch where I'm telling you, it's like you make people whole sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. You have a light. You have a light inside you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's true. And you don't. The thing that's great about you is that you don't stop yourself from giving it. Mm-hmm. And you're just so awesome. And you can see it in your art.
Welcome to the Art and Hustle Podcast, a gallery of conversations, a space where you can hear all the amazing stories and life lessons of my guests. I'm your host, LindaLCheung, fashion designer turned multimedia artist, and I want to give you a space to tell your story.
So you're the host today, Lindsay. This is Art and Hustle, a gallery of conversations, but today we're going to turn the table, and we have Lindsay, my really good friend, who's going to actually interview me today. So Lindsay, welcome.
Thank you.
Also, happy Friday. So cheers
happy
to you.
Friday. Happy to be here.
Happy
cheers
Friday.
To you too.
Don't make me cry.
Never. But I am here for you if you do.
Okay. All right.
And if you cry, I cry with you.
Keep it like super mellow, relaxed. So we don't have to be like too.
Let me light some,
candles.
Some candles. Let's get so this is crazy. So I have the breeze blowing. So we have some mood music going because apparently it's strong enough to blow the chords on my guitar.
Oh, really?
So you might hear it in the background.
You can hear the chords on your guitar?
Yeah, because the fan is blowing, I guess, strong enough that it's blowing the chords on my guitar. So you'll hear it plucking. So it's just,
That's
something.
I think someone's plucking it.
I think so. I think it's using it it's here. They're here with us. So
that's your dad plucking those guitars.
Or it's someone else, like what we talked about the other day.
It's in your house, so it's your dad.
Are you ready for your questions? They're not bad. Okay, so how has quarantine affected you?
So the quarantine. So I got let go of my company March of 2020. So as soon as quarantine started hitting, I got let go. And honestly, I think I probably had a nervous breakdown because I'm such a workaholic. And it took me a little by surprise. So I think I took 2 months to really recuperate from that or so, or maybe more. And then I had a lot of people who kept telling me you should be sewing masks. And I was like, But I didn't think anybody would want to buy my mask because I'm like, well, everybody else is sewing them right now. So I was like, I don't think anybody would really buy mine, but I guess I should because I don't have a job. And what can I do? I can sew. And what do people need now? They need masks. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take my sewing machine out. I posted on Facebook a little DIY sample image of someone who was making a mask. And I was like, hey guys, I'm going to start making these masks because I had the instructions. I'm like, okay, I'm going to follow this guideline. Anybody who needs a mask, hit me up on Facebook. So as soon as I posted that, I had a couple people already send me messages and said I need 20, I need a couple or whatever. So from that day on that I started making masks, I was getting orders almost every day for it. So that was a blessing. So for a full year, I just had a full sweatshop in my house, in my kitchen, in my living room. I had my kids working on it with me. I had my sister who came with her family helping me. So anybody who was hanging out with me was helping me cut stuff and sew or sew elastic.
That's awesome because it also became like a bonding moment for you, like for your
Yeah.
family and everything.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was amazing. Thank God for my sister and my brother-in-law Evan and everybody, and even the kids. Like everybody was like there and helping.
That's also such a cute memory, like that they're gonna have, like that they bonded together and they like got through it. You guys got through it as like a family and did this amazing project that
Yeah.
was so successful.
Yeah, thank God.
That's a huge deal.
It's amazing. I was like, okay, I'm going to dust off my sewing machine because I haven't sewn, I think, in probably, ages, probably,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe before my kids were born, probably that I sewed. I can't even remember last thing I sewed. So,
Linda, you have this amazing, amazing gift and quality about you that absolutely nothing gets you down. And I think that you're showing your kids and showing everybody who knows you just that, like, no matter what's thrown at you, you figure it out and you make it work. And, you just keep going and you can be successful and do whatever you need to do. And, you thrive. You absolutely thrive. And I think you're it's amazing. And I saw you, like all the posts that you did. And we all needed it.
I'm bombarding all the social media. I mean, I'm sure people were getting tired of my post.
No, that's the thing, Linda. That was the thing, is that you probably felt that way. But I remember there were times where I needed it, and you were out. Like, you were like, "Oh, I'll make you some." Like,
Oh yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
you were going on vacation. Like, I was like,
there was
"Don't
something.
worry." Like,
Yeah, there was a point where I was like, it's going to take me 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get these to you. I'm so sorry, but I'm trying to sew as fast as I can. And but I was doing like custom masks, so I let everybody like choose the front of the mask or the back of the mask. So I probably should have did more bulk items of whatever I had at that point. But I think I was trying to make it like fun for people. Like, okay, you can choose the front, back, it's reversible. So it took longer for me to make the mask because I was customizing every order.
oh, but that's perfect. I was like, you gave me exactly what I wanted that I couldn't find anywhere else. Like, I wanted something cute and like something that when I was ready to go out, that
I heat sealed
good
some stuff for you. Yeah.
Like, and I got it when I needed, like before I even needed it. But yeah, it was perfect. And they all fit great too.
Good.
You just knew what you were doing.
I know. I need little. I was collecting selfies from everybody. Like everybody who bought a mask, I'm like, send me your selfie so then I can post it. And then if anybody else needs, they can see like how they fit.
And you know why at the time it was so important too? Like at the time, it was more like, it was so scary and so new and so jarring. And the fact that you can customize it so early on, especially with children, like, Zach, I can tell you, my kid, like, when I made it more personalized and fun and I made it less traumatizing, because like, not that it's, traumatizing for a mask, but like for a kid, like you're like, oh, I'm covering, like it's more like,
they can't breathe.
I have to.
Yeah.
Now it's more like fun, now it's like, oh, it could be a fun thing. It doesn't have to be like a standard boring, like you made it like an accessory, like it just opened up a different world to them of like,
it made it more like accessible and like friendly.
Yeah. Instead of it being like, keep the germs out, it's life-saving. It's, now it's more just like, oh, it's fun. I like what's on it. It's cute.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm glad it worked out.
It did. Okay. So what have you been up to recently in your creative world?
Recently in my creative world, I started this podcast. I started the podcast. I started a podcast because, like, I mean, obviously before this, I started Art and Hustle, like art parties and shows at Image Gallery. But since like COVID, I was like, well, now we can't do that. And like, I had an art show right before, I think everybody locked down too. I think it was like right before my birthday, a couple weeks before my birthday. I think we did a show, and then everything became locked down after that. So I was thinking during COVID, I was like, I really should just start talking to all the artists and like having a little podcast and just have like a little conversation, gallery conversation, like unfiltered, of like, what's your passion about, how you keep going in your art through like work and COVID and tough times in your life, and what does art mean to you? Like to me, art was everything. Like art saved me, so. So this is my new baby right now. This is my new pet project.
It's like therapy, right? This is like another form of art therapy, actually.
It is. That's true. That is true, because I've always said to friends who come visit me, I'm like, come over, let's have some wine, let's do some art. So it's like kind of like therapy, you know? So one of my girlfriends actually came from high school, Janine, and it was therapeutic for her because her mom had passed away. So it was nice to like get together with a friend and do some art that she could take home and then have some wine and food and just talk. So like my kitchen's kind of like my therapy.
I feel like you should do like a retreat, like a healing retreat. This is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You're so healing. Like, I mean, like if you think about it, when you express yourself in art and like how, like you said, it's life-saving.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's like my new thing. I eventually will find like another, like the right niche for me that, you know, makes money.
You will.
You know, so.
You're there. I think you're there.
I'm trying to find every avenue. I'm always trying to figure out what my niche is or what I'm good at, you know? So like
you inspire people, you help people, you move people. I mean, look at Art and Hustle, what it became, how many lives it touched. I mean, there's something very special there, and just keep it going. I mean, this is something really that can have a lasting effect, you know?
I hope so. I mean, like when I started this, like I had a few people who were really like more like professional people who were like, I know would give me like the real deal of what they thought. So a couple of those people who I told them this idea of like, I was thinking about doing Art and Hustle, or they've seen me like on Instagram and social media, they actually were like, wow, I think this is like amazing. The name is amazing. What you're doing is like, it feels right. You should like copyright it and just keep doing it. So I was actually honored that they thought it was a good idea and they liked the name, because, you know, you never know, like you want to make sure like the name is like relevant and it like hits home to people. And then like even like merchandise I do with Art and Hustle, like people love the merchandise, the hats and the t-shirts and the tank tops, because it speaks to them and it speaks to me. So like I love it. So I'm like, I'm so happy that other people like can relate to it and like it also.
They embrace it. They embrace it, and it embraces people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you've been to my art shows. I've dragged you in to help me.
Drag me. I'm like, let me come. Like when you having another one? Like I miss it.
I need help. Come on.
It's so fun. It's so amazing to be a part of. Sometimes you just honestly, I mean, I don't know if you know, but even people like me or somebody being a vendor or showing their art or doing a piece, or I'm sure like, you know, he was playing music, anybody, sometimes and some points during the night, I can tell you just kind of stand back and you look around and you see people interacting and you see the community that you're a part of and you see people connecting and they're artists.
You feel like the energy of the room then.
Yeah. I mean, there's something that you can't explain and you just feel like at home. You feel like so happy and so blessed that you're a part of this and you're witnessing it. And like it's so special what you've done, like really is. And I mean, I don't know, I'm sure people have said it, but just so you know that you think you're dragging all of us along or like whatever you're thinking, it's a blessing to be a part.
That's amazing that you described it that way, because I was watching a show on Netflix where they were talking about this person who was designing, I think it was like Studio 54, the people who designed Studio 54. Really? Yeah. There was a documentary, I think on Netflix, about Studio 54. And the two guys who had designed the space had created an energy. So anybody who walked through that door felt comfortable and felt that energy of it. So I was like, that is exactly what I was actually doing originally with like Airbnb. You know, like Art and Hustle was one different thing, but like I started doing Airbnb. That's my other like pet project I started doing in COVID. I had an extra space in my house and I was debating for a really long time to either rent it out to anybody or to do an Airbnb. So fate had it that me and Dave went to Atlanta and we stayed at this Airbnb. But she curated the entire place so beautifully, and all the photos looked exactly like how it looked when you walked in the door. So I was like, wow, like her theme was so classic and beautiful, and her accent color was orange, And even the candy on the table looked like the candy as I stepped in the door. The room and every single photo looked like what I had just stepped into, and it was super clean and just beautifully designed. That I was like, if I do an Airbnb, like this is how I want people to feel, and this is how I would want it to look. So
Yeah.
So the energy that she gave me inspired me in turn to be able to, design my Airbnb that I started in June. And so like I created that same kind of energy in Airbnb. So like anybody who walks in the Airbnb was like, it's so cozy. It's so like nicely put together. Like you have your coffee, your chocolates, your room's nicely done. You have art on the wall. So like everybody who walks in is like comfortable. And I don't skimp on like what I use for the bed, because I actually probably put more better things that I put on the bed than for my bed, like the pillows and the comforter. So everything's like super comfortable, coordinated, and it's the energy. So the energy of the room is what brings people like into it and love it. So that's
you put beauty into everything you do, Linda. Like you gave me chills just now, like hearing you talk about it, and like I can totally see you one day having a bed and breakfast, but also like having it be a retreat for people to come and do art and express, like their life experiences.
Well, that's funny you say bed and breakfast, because I had one of my old art teachers stay with me, and her sister was dying from cancer. So she stayed with me. She was going to stay with me for 4 days. So I was like, listen, let me make you some breakfast, come upstairs, because there's no kitchen in there, but it's like a hotel room where it has a microwave and a fridge and everything. But I was like, why don't you come upstairs, have dinner upstairs if you need. And then tomorrow I'll make you guys breakfast, So thank God, like I was doing whatever I could for her. And I had offered her beforehand that I want to make your sister like chicken matzo ball soup, because that's what makes me feel better when I'm sick. That and like toast with butter and jelly. I don't know. Those two things. Yes. Like when I'm sick, like I want those two things. So if I'm sick, give me some toast with butter and jelly, or like chicken matzo ball soup. And so I was offered to make it for her sister. So she's like, thank you. Like if you can, like make that. So I made her that. I made her like 4 quarts of that for her sister. I ended up making breakfast for her like the 4 days she was here. I invited her daughter in. So I was like, you know what? Like I enjoy this. Like I enjoy like this kind of thing of a bed and breakfast, because I like connecting with people and I like helping people,
You do. You always have. Mm-hmm. You always have. And you just have that special touch where I'm telling you, it's like you make people whole sometimes. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. You have a light. You have a light inside you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's true. Mm-hmm. And you don't, the thing that's great about you is that you don't stop yourself from giving it, mm-hmm. And that's awesome. And you can see it in your art. I have a question for you.
Yes.
When was the last time you did art for you?
Well, usually when I'm doing pieces for other people, I usually will always do another piece for myself. Well, the other day, like I decided to just paint my kitchen table all white. So as I was doing that, I painted another canvas white. So I started it, so like I usually multitask of like, as I'm doing something else, I see a vision and I'm like, all right, I got to start something else. So it was all white. So the canvas is all white. The table's all white. And I love like, texturized paint. I use acrylic on like I was using it on a wood canvas, so I added like texture onto it. And art teacher actually who stayed here, she actually bought one of my gold pieces, the one that's like raised up in like tissue paper and spray painted gold. So awesome. Yeah, like that was one of my like iconic like pieces. So she bought one of those. So I was like so happy, because she actually inspired me to go to Parsons School of Design.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because like she was an amazing art teacher. She was one of my favorite art teachers, and she took her classes to the rehearsal of Parsons' senior fashion show. And when I saw that final senior fashion show, I was like, this is freaking phenomenal. That I want to do this. and I want to be in that finale because there's always like a finale theme. So like I forgot what their finale theme was, but ours was astrology. So everyone,
Cool.
it was astrology. So everyone got to pick. When I didn't pick it, but I think you can choose. Like you can, I think you were able to like at least bid for the one that you wanted to do. Like obviously, I want to do Aries, right?
Yeah.
So everyone could bid, but you have to, your design has to be like accepted into which one that they want in the show. So I was like, oh my god, like besides getting just like a regular like fashion design into the in the senior show, I wanted to make sure that I got into the costume part of it because I think I was intrigued by the costume part. So when I was going to Parsons, I actually was able to get 3 pieces of my art of fashion into the finale of the senior fashion show.
Is that normal to get 3? Rather, I mean,
I don't know because like you're usually like the minimum is 1. So you're allowed minimum 1 because obviously you paid for a lot of money to go to the school. You want to see your garment in it. But then when like Project Runway started, it was no longer a minimum of 1. You had to be selected. After that show became popular, like you couldn't just get 1 piece in there anymore. You had to be selected. Like your stuff had to be amazing to be able to get in. One was like a silk taffeta safari day to evening ball gown. So she was able to take off her skirt. And then she had like a little like sleeveless jumpsuit in like silk taffeta where she can like, okay, now I have like a short. And then the ball gown came off. And then the second thing was forgot what the second was, but then I won an award for my golden kimono Buddha with Gloria Sachs.
Wait, I have to see. Can we cut so we have some images? Can we like take pause?
That's true. I need to. Oh my god, I need to find the images and put them in. So like, I won the award for the golden kimono Buddha. Because here's the story behind the kimono. It was a computer design class where you take an image that you want to print, right? So I chose the Buddha, and everything was supposed to be printed on velvet. But then like for some reason my velvet came back in like algae greens instead of like gold, sand color, like golden colors, right? Because I chose golden color. So it came back like greens and algae colors. I was like, I can't use this. Like, what? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, this looks terrible. And this is around like I forgot what break we had, maybe spring break. So everyone's on spring break, and I have this like horrible fabric, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna like reprint it for you. So they had no more velvet. So they had to print it in muslin. So I got back muslin to make something while everyone else has beautiful velvet. So I was like, oh my god.
That's what you use like for your like patterns. Like, you know what I mean?
That's what you use. So if anybody knows muslin, it's like really cheap. You just basically cut a little bit of your scissor and you just rip it, like it all frays. It's super thin, it's like clear, really cheap. The cheapest thing you can use, right, to make any sort of garment when you're practicing school is muslin. Because you can draw on it.
That's what you do before paper.
It's like rags. It's like rags, right? So I'm like devastated. I'm like, what am I gonna do with this muslin? And I was like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? So like, I was like, okay, so let me figure it out. Like, what can I do to it? Oh, so that's actually perfect that this came up because like, so I painted it. So I got paint. I got like glitter. I got whatever. So this is actually perfect segue because like I just turned it into art. So I turned that fabric into art. I painted it. I added glitter. I just did whatever I could to make it more vibrant and turned it into this like cool piece of art fabric. So then after that, I made it into like my kimono Buddha.
And that is exactly what LindaLCheung would do.
And then I had to, so since it was so like thin, I added batting to it. So then it actually looked like it was more substantial. So it became this like quilted like kimono. And then for some reason, I think when I finished it, I was like, I don't think I want the girl's face. So I actually made like a mask of a girl, but you couldn't see her face, so it was like all black mask, and then just like a gold like brochet like on the back of her head. So when she walked out, all she had was like a black mesh face. Like all you saw was a gown, was the kimono coming out, and then the back of her head had a gold brooch on it, and that was it. Like she was just walking out like that.
Awesome. That sounds sick.
I wish I had the video of this. I lost the video because it was like VHS, and I lent it to somebody, and then I lost it.
Damn, that sounds awesome.
She was amazing too. Like everybody's amazing, just like Anthony. So that in turn segues to Anthony, right?
Yeah.
So Anthony, I went to school with Anthony Parsons, and then he came to me at one point with a wedding dress that he had done for somebody who turned into a bridezilla. And the dress was like no longer useful because she had too many changes and didn't want to pay or whatever. And at that point, it was exactly what I needed at my life right now, because I think I was going through a lot of stuff that time. And I was like, you know what? This is perfect, because he's like, do you want to take this dress and like just do whatever you want to it and just like paint it and whatever, like just destroy it, but make it into a piece of artwork. So I was like, yes. That's exactly what I want to do to a wedding dress. So yeah, so I turned his wedding dress into a piece of art with like reds and blacks and like glitter and everything. And he's like, this is amazing. He's like, I'm going to hold on to this dress till the perfect moment. Whoa. And so the perfect moment arrived maybe a month ago, where he used it for a photo shoot. And so we'll see in the future what happens with this dress.
My God. That sounds amazing.
So excited. So excited. For him and me. I'm so excited.
Things just happen when they're like so like supposed to and meant to sometimes. Like
I hope so. I hope it really starts to happen soon.
Yeah, I feel like it's all coming together. Like it's all...
I hope so. I really hope so, because I mean, like, I don't think I can go back to a regular 9 to 5 right now. Like ever since I was let go, like I didn't think I would be able to just stay at home, since I'm such a workaholic. Like I've always been working all the time. So the fact that I stayed home for a while, I actually started getting used to and actually liking staying home and being with my kids and being there for them, and then like being able to freelance and then having my time to do stuff. So I hope it continues, that I can just keep doing this. Like, that's my wish to the universe, to my mom.
Make it happen, Captain. Let's do it.
So
I think you can.
Stay home and just do what I love and help people and do art. That's my wish.
I think it's all going to come for you and to you, because it has to. You're doing too much good. I mean, like,
I know,
you know,
it has to, right?
You can legit stay home, Linda. You can legit stay home, and your goodness still reaches out to people. Like, you know what I mean? You still reach people. Like, that's awesome.
Radiated through the camera.
Yeah, still comes out.
Yep.
So we've talked about your teacher, how she inspired you, and your friends, and how they're even to this day still touching your life in an art way. What in your childhood brought you to the art world? Like, what growing up, like what, how did you know that you loved art, or what you said it saved your life? Like, yeah. You know, how did it touch your life in such a way?
I feel like ever since I was little, I was always just sitting at my parents' restaurant drawing. Like I couldn't, like I feel like I had some relatives who would go to China, and then they'll be like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know, but let me just draw it for you, since I can't speak the language that you need me to tell you what I want. I think I remember like drawing them an image of what I wanted. And then like at my parents' restaurant, because we stayed there all the time, like that was like our after school weekends till like 10 o'clock at night all the time. I just remember sitting there and just drawing all the time. And the two things that I remember drawing all the time, one was Spider-Man. Like I don't know why, but I just specifically remember I liked drawing Spider-Man. And then the other thing I remember drawing all the time was the dragon and phoenix that was on like the entryway of the dining room. So I would think I was always drawing the phoenix and the dragon also. So I always did that. So thank God. So the reason why art saved me is because when I went to school, I had some really great art teachers who really supported me and encouraged me to go to art school, you know? And so that was amazing. Like one of them, his dream school was RISD, Rhode Island School of Design. So
Yeah.
he was so funny. His name is Mr. Krugman, and he loved RISD. So he had like, you can obviously you can tell like who his favorite students are, right? So he had this one favorite student who was like a year ahead of me, and he kept pushing him to go to RISD, right? But he didn't want to go to RISD, and he didn't apply to RISD. So he's like, oh, like come on, like someone like go to RISD, right? So when it was time for me to apply to schools, I was like, well, of course, like I got to apply to RISD. I don't know what school I'm going to go to, but obviously if you think RISD is a good school, then I'm going to apply to that one and whatever other ones I applied to, which was like Parsons School of Design, Syracuse, FIT, and maybe another one. So I wanted to get my bases covered. So like if you're a young person, make sure you apply to like 5 or 6 schools, high, medium, low. So cover your bases. And so I was like so excited. I actually got accepted to RISD.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I got accepted. Yeah. So I got accepted, but they gave me no financial aid. And so like RISD was private. Parsons was private. Syracuse was private school. So these are all private schools that at that point was like a lot of money. So the only one that I probably could afford, it was FIT. Thank God, I had a really good English teacher called Mr. Schiavo, and he was my sister's like English teacher, and he loved her, and he loved like all of his students. He was like a mentor to everybody, and so like my sister and brother were always honor students. Me, not so much. Me, I'm in the arts, like. I'm not academic, you know. I've never claimed to be academic. I can't spell very good. I'm not a good math student. I'm not your typical Asian person.
We're okay. And then once we hit math, it just
like I'm not good at any of those things, and I don't claim to be. So if you see my crap on like Facebook and social media where I can't spell, I'm sorry. It just doesn't naturally come to me. So Mr. Schiavo loved my sister, and he loved all the students. So he's like, "You have a sister? Well, she has to be in my honor student class." And I was like, I'm not an honor student. He's like, I don't care. He's like, you're going to be in my class. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try my best since you believe in me, right? So like, that was my only honor class. So he's like, you're going to be in it. I don't care what it is. Like, you're going to be in it. So like, I had him as English honors, and then everything else was like regular middle, and then like probably social studies or science I was really bad at. But he gave me the best advice that changed my life also, because my parents actually told me they wanted me to not go to college for a year because they're like, okay, we don't have enough money to send you. So now you're gonna make me cry. So, but he told me that they've already lived their life. So you have to live your life. So thank God he said that. Because then I went to school. I was like, okay, I'm going to take whatever loans I have and just go to school. So thank God he said that, because otherwise I would have taken that year off, because my parents said they had no money for me. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I should stay at home. But he said, no, you have to go. They've lived their life, so you have to live yours. So thank God he gave me that advice.
Yeah.
That's why.
He was so meant to be in your life.
Mm-hmm. So I actually reached out to him like a while ago when I had originally had this idea. So I'm going to interview him too, so I can have his like story on here too, because he was amazing. He helped so many people.
Really?
Mm-hmm. See, there you go. Like, I knew I was going to cry eventually.
Ah.
On that note, let's have a drink.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I hate to see you cry.
Cheers. I mean, like, no matter
Here's
what.
your teachers that are amazing that brought you to the path that you're supposed to be on.
Cheers.
Teachers, they,
So, like,
you know,
art saved me. My teachers were great.
people save people, you know. You never know what others are going through and what they need. And you never know what that encouragement or what, you know, or believing in somebody or what telling somebody what they're worth is going to do for somebody, because even though you think, how could they not see it? Sometimes they just don't see it. And I'm so glad that they showed you what you were worth and what you could do and inspired you and got you to go for it. I can't imagine LindaLCheung not being LindaLCheung. Seriously. If I don't know, you know, the butterfly effect, if anything affected you to not be you, that would be the worst thing ever. Like, I can't, like, would be heartbreaking. So thank God for them.
Yep.
I want to give them a big hug.
I
have a question.
Yeah.
How has your art changed from when you were like younger and developing? And like, did you think it was going to be one thing and then it became something totally different?
Totally. Like, I mean, like, as an artist, you're kind of doing a little bit of everything, you know? And when I decided to go to which art school, I originally decided to go to Syracuse. And I really didn't know like what art I'm actually really good at or what I'm supposed to be doing. I just knew like I can draw good, I can paint good, I can do this, you know, like, so like I kind of dabbled in a little bit of everything while I was in school, and all those little everything I enjoyed, but I didn't know like which one feeds my soul or which one I'm good at. So I think I went to Parsons, and no, I went to Syracuse first, and then like I decided to major in surface pattern design, because I mean my main goal was not to be a starving artist. My main goal was to make sure I do art, but not be a starving artist. So Syracuse had like, I don't know, 99% placement for surface pattern design. So I was like, perfect. I can get a job doing surface pattern design. But what are you doing? You're doing repeats of florals for wallpaper with the 000 brush. I think I lost my mind at the first semester. At the end of the first semester or second semester, we had to dye out paper and then do a repeat and a border for a wallpaper. Well, I screwed up my paper, like I think 3 times, because I couldn't get the color I wanted, because you have to get the color, you have to dye the paper, and then it has to dry, and then you have to paint it. So like I screwed up, I think 3 times on the paper because I couldn't get the color I wanted, because I think I was doing like an aqua floral border. I had to find that one and like insert it. And so it was coming out.
Oh my God, it'll be like VH1.
I think it was coming out more green because it's supposed to come out Turk. So I'm having this problem with the green. Like, look, that's the second time I'm having a problem with green. So it was coming out more green instead of turquoise. And so the last attempt I had to dye the paper, it came out right? So I was happy. I took the blow dryer, I was drying it. And this is like, everyone's at the studio. It's like really, really late. And then I spilled my gouache all over the paper.
Oh my God.
I was like,
I'm done.
That was it.
Flip the table.
That was it. That was my pivotal aha moment. I'm leaving. This is it. I'm not doing this. That was literally the moment I was like, I can't do this for the rest of my life, and I'm going to leave. And so I was like, what else can I do? What else can I possibly be good at as an artist, right? And my brother was like, well, why don't you do fashion design? Like, that's in demand right now. Why don't you do fashion? And so I was like, all right, I guess I'll do fashion. Let's look into it, right? So I was like, okay, well, they have fashion at Syracuse. But I was like, well, if I want to do fashion, I think I should go to New York, because New York is the pivotal part for fashion. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna apply back to Parsons, you know. And when I went to Syracuse, I originally decided I knew that their foundation program was similar to Parsons, so in case I changed my mind. So thank God I did that, because Parsons and Syracuse had the similar first year foundation program. So I was able to transfer my credits from the foundation programs from Syracuse to Parsons. So I decided that moment when I spilled my gouache, I'm leaving and I'm going to Parsons. I'm like, that's it, I'm going. But yeah, so that's what I did. So I left. And that's my long-awaited career in fashion.
That was a good move.
It was, but
Yeah.
then I'm circling back, right? I'm circling back to art. So one thing I said to myself, I think when everybody asks me, like, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? I'm like, I just want to make art. That has always been what I said, I think, when I went to Parsons too. Oh no, it was to Syracuse. I was like, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't really want to do anything else. I just want to do art, you know? But oh, sorry, I'm circling back to what your original question is, like from what you did originally with your art to what does your art look like now. So I had no idea before, right? So I had no idea what my art was before that I was good at. And I actually only found my voice of what kind of art I like to do was after my mom passed away.
Wow.
So in 2013, when she passed away,
Has it been that long already?
yeah, since 2013. She passed away the end of Christmas of 2013. So her death was my rebirth. So when she passed away, she never had a voice. So she gave that voice to me at that moment. So when she passed away, like something just kept telling me, you need to do art. Because I don't think I've done art because I got, I was working, I got married, I got 2 kids. I wasn't doing any art. So a voice kept saying to me, you need to do art. You need to do art. And you need to do big art. So like, it was just like, you need to do big art. Like in my head, it was just this constant voice of, you need to do big art. So I'm like, all right, something keeps telling me I need to do big art. So I went to like, AC Moore and got like literally like a whole bunch of like big canvases, like 30 by 40, like maybe like 2 or 3 of them. And I put them on the table and I was like, all right, well, what should I do? So I just started doing some sort of art. So like, I think I started doing like self-portraits of my face. And I think I ripped up my face. That was one of the first ones I did, was ripping up my face and putting it back together. And then I used a lot of quotes from Instagram that resonated with me at that moment. So I started collecting like quotes that were inspiring from Instagram. And so I was like, I love these Instagram quotes, like quotes and words and poetry, and like really mean a lot to me and touch my soul. So I started collecting all of those words and made a collage of all those words. So those were a couple of my first pieces. And I was like, you know what? I love this. I love this because you get lost in it. So that's when I realized that art was for me, because I got lost in it and it didn't matter to me if anybody else liked it. At that moment, I was content in just doing the art and getting lost in it. If someone liked it, great. If someone didn't like it, I was like actually at the point where I was like okay with not like someone not liking it, because it was for me. And the types of art that I think I had like realized I wanted to do was, one was like paper collage of like images and whatever. Another one was like 3-dimensional, like for tissue paper, and like I like the dimensions of it, and I was spray painted gold or whatever. And then the last one was like abstract Pollock, like modern Pollock kind of painting that spoke to me. But then I would add like my beads and seed beads and pearls and like gold and silver beads onto that. So those I realized were the 3 parts of me that I needed to do every time I did a piece of art. So no matter what kind of art I do, I end up always wanting to do those 3 because those all speak to me. And so I can't just do one of those because each one is a part of me. So like after I've done like a whole bunch of collages, I'm like, oh, okay, I need to cleanse my soul with like a bunch of paint in different colors and mixing and whatever. So finally, I think at that point, it was when I got to like my, tapped into like my soul of what I liked and what I'm possibly good at. Oh, I'm like, what are you looking at?
When you said you tapped into your soul, I just looked over at your painting and I'm just like, it's like when you look at water and like waves and how like it crashes together, I'm wondering if that was how you're like, that was how you're, that was you. That was you at the moment. So.
When I do those color ones is where it's like so peaceful and there's like no like way of like how it has to be. It's like the canvases and the paints and the beads and everything at those points when I do those like speak to me. Like I don't like I don't try to make it a certain way. Like that was what it was amazing that I was able to just make art and not try to like please anybody and not try to be like, okay, I want to make this, I want to make that. Like I don't try to do anything with any of those things, like, which is amazing to get to. I mean, like I think every artist wants to get to that point.
Yeah. I'm just like looking at it like it's like a different way to look at it. But I love it. Like, I mean, it's something.
So like every piece of those are like soulful paintings because I'm not trying to like make it a certain way. And each one is like a soulful expression of how I feel and those emotions that are coming out onto that canvas.
You know what? It's definitely your signature. Like those, like you can tell when it's a LindaLCheung. Like, you know what I mean? Like you've created your signatures. Like, and I think that's special. Like that's really special. Because you just did it naturally. You weren't forcing it. You weren't like, I'm going to stick to this expression and that's what I'm going to do. Like, you tapped into your soul. You felt what you loved and how you wanted to express yourself, and you naturally flow.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the most original thing at all. Like every artist has other versions of that. It's just that that's my version of it, So like everyone, like one of my advices to people is not to be discouraged of like, oh, I don't want to do it because someone else has done it or whatever, but like it's your version of it. Like you did it, so it's original to you. So like maybe myself looks like Pollock, maybe I'm channeling Pollock, maybe he's part of me, who knows, right? But like mine is like a new version of Pollock.
Yeah,
I'm the Asian Pollock.
You're the feminine. Okay. The feminine.
The feminine version.
La femme. La femme.
Yep.
I really want to know
how many pieces do you have in the wall right now?
How many? Oh, well, I have nothing up on the wall.
Oh, okay.
But I have you in my creative space. So I basically, where I'm keeping you where I need to be inspired and, be strong to, be woman and keep going.
Yeah.
So and it's funny because I have you and me in a painting. Like it's like, and they kind of go together, not on purpose, but and it was a cheesy blend. Like I went to one of those like, paint and sip birthday party things.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, paint a boat, whatever. And I was like, no, I'm not going to paint a boat. So I painted like a mermaid grotto instead, because that was more like me. Because I'm like, I'm not going to paint a boat. Like, I'm going to paint a mermaid, like Neverland with like the 2 stars in the morning, but it's not done.
Yeah.
And after I started talking to you about paintings and make it your own and everything, I was like, you know what? I was like, you just inspire somebody to tap into what makes you like, what brings you, like what brings out your
joy? Like, what brings you joy? What speaks to you? Like that's
exactly.
what I. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's like, what brings out like nature and everything. And I'm like, you know what? I was like, because it hasn't ever come in.
Yeah.
And I think what it is that I want to put like the pieces of nature on it. So like I'm just like sitting here going like,
well, the painting.
I'm like, I'm just like, it's funny that you're you just inspire, like you're just like teaching people also to not be afraid to go into your own, self-expression.
Yeah.
Of art. Like art is art. Don't be afraid and go for it.
And whatever you like and think or whatever, that's yours. Like own it. Like it's fine. It's great. I mean, that's one of the amazing things of the show. I think I was doing because like when I started doing all of my art, like I probably had like, I don't know, 10 or 15 pieces at that point. And then I started asking another artist. I was like, well, how many pieces do I need to do an art show? And what do I do? But I had like no idea how to have an art show because I'm like, the only thing I knew is these like stuck up art galleries that, I mean, like, how are you going to get into them, right? So I had no idea. So then I was on social media, I was on Instagram, and I was like, okay, well, I think I ran across like an advertisement for like an art show in Brooklyn.
Oh, was this your first art gallery? I was just gonna ask, was this your first one? Oh
Yeah,
my God.
this is one of the first shows. So like I saw an advertisement looking for artists, and I'm like, oh, well, great. I'm an artist. Like, here's my work. Like, you know. And then it was Dylan. Dylan was like, okay, so come by. Like, come by. We're having like an art show in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And I went there, and at that point, I had like no money. I have art, but I have no money, right? So I was like, okay, I can't afford really to like rent out a space or anything like that, because I went to there and he's like, okay, we're selling walls of this art gallery. And I was like, I really can't afford too much of this wall, but whatever the cost is better than whatever else I can afford, probably. And he's like, okay, well, this is the wall, you know, you can put like 3 or 4 pieces here. And he's like, if you want, there's a room right here across the way. Like, so they had like all these walls, marble floor, and then like all of these rooms, and which were beautiful. Everything was like beautifully remodeled. And I was like, well, this room is like beautiful. Like, I kind of had a vision of like, wow, I can use this room like as my, you know, art gallery. He's like, okay, well, the room is like, I don't know how much it was, like 150 or something like that. I was like, well, I can't justify or spend that much money on an art gallery right now when the needs of my life are to like pay for my mortgage, food, and kids, and utilities, you know, whatever. So I was like, okay, that's not part of my budget. Like, my budget is not for art. It's not budget for any of this. So like my budget was like clean cut, like I have to follow it, otherwise I'm going to go into debt. And my goal was not to go into debt. So I was like, I can't afford that. Like, but then I was thinking about it. I was like, okay, well, if it's $150 for the room, I just need to sell one painting. Like, really, there has to be somebody out there who wants to buy my art for $150, right? So I was like, okay, I think I'm going to risk it. I'm going to risk it for $150. I'm going to take the room. So I'm going to take the room, and then I think I took the wall too. I don't know if he gave me the wall for free. I don't remember. But I took the room, and I had like a shitload of like paintings, because at that point I was just like pouring all of my emotions out on my canvases, and I curated my first art show. And everybody who came was like, what? Like, this is your first art show? Even people who were there were like, this is your first art show? Like, are you kidding me? Like, this looks really professional. It's put together, you know. But I had like good, like, amazing influences like Deb, you know, who's done art shows, and she probably like, you know, guided me to like make sure like I have certain things, and people in my life who always told me like, you have to have a portfolio, it has to look this way, it has to look professional, and this and that. So that was my first art show at Gowanus.
That was an amazing show. And didn't he keep you on to like do stuff because you did so well?
Yeah, because so this space was like an open space where I think they were trying to rent it out. So until they rented it out, they were advertising it to anybody who wanted to like use the space for whatever they wanted. Yeah. So end goal was to find somebody who wants to rent it long term. But until then, they were trying to find traction to like, I don't know, advertisement or social media or whatever. So we turned it into like a gallery art space until they found somebody. So for a while, they just let me keep my stuff in there. Because they like what I was doing in there. They're like, just keep it on. You don't have to pay us. Just keep
it. You brought in a ton of people too.
Like I was so blessed to have all like my friends and family and coworkers and everybody like come and support me and come to the space. So that was amazing. That was my first art show at Gowanus. So they kept me on there for a really long time. Like Dylan and Alex like were great. They let me use the space.
But your work was also great to look at. Like it was a great draw. Like that room was like so interesting. And honestly, like there was a lot of interesting art in there as well. Like
all kinds of different types of people who were talented. Yeah, there was amazing people who were there. It's like a huge blend of people, and everybody was like supportive and like helpful and loving. And there was no like stuck up people really there who were showing their art. So like everybody, every artist, every person that was showing was like supportive of each other. So I was like, this is like amazing for anybody, for any artist to be able to put their soul out there, you know? And then
for you for today, part 1, because we will have a part 2. Part 1.
Yes.
Is where do you want to be in a year? In a year. Because like if we were going to make a LindaLCheung Art and Hustle vision board for your goals for the next year, what would be on that vision board?
For 1 year? This was because you know me and we sat together at work.
Funny, I was just about to put a little insert. Whoever's watching this is that if you don't know, now you know.
Yes. So we sat in this like beautiful little like closet. Let's bring it back.